I'm Maya. There is a special kind of terror that lives in the heart of a parent. It's not the fear of monsters under the bed, but the fear of the monsters your child will one day walk toward, arms wide open, calling them love. My daughter, Ilara, was born with a wild heart. She didn't just walk, she ran. She didn't just speak, she declared. As a little girl, she climbed the tallest tree in the yard, and my breath would catch, not just from fear of the fall, but from the sheer, terrifying certainty on her face as she looked down at the world from those shaky branches. She was always chasing the edge of things, believing her passion was a parachute that would save her from any consequence. And I knew, from the moment she brought Leo home, that he was the deepest edge she'd ever chase. I saw the danger signs, the too intense gaze, the way his charm felt like a performance, the subtle belittling of her dreams he masked as practical advice. But when you're young and in love, warnings sound like prison sentences. My cautions, my gentle questions, my desperate pleas, they were all translated in her mind as proof of my inability to understand her grand, sweeping romance. She called me controlling, jealous, outdated. She said I was trying to clip her wings because I was afraid to fly. And then she left. She ran away with him into a future she'd painted in the most brilliant, blinding colors. And for months, there was only silence. A silence so heavy it had its own gravity, pulling at every happy memory, turning my home into a museum of her absence. Then one rain-soaked night, she came back. Not as the defiant heroine of her own story, but as a ghost of the girl she'd been. The adventure had drained her. The love had broken her. And as she stood on my doorstep, the world she'd chosen in tatters around her, I didn't say the words that burned on my tongue. I simply opened my arms. Healing didn't begin when she walked through my door. It began in the quiet moment after, when she finally stopped lying to herself. From the beginning, Ilara was a force. Where other children collected dolls, she collected rocks with strange formations, bugs in jars, and scraps of poetry that hinted at vast, inner worlds. She felt everything 10 times more. Joy was a shrieking, spinning dance in the kitchen. Sadness was a thunderstorm that lasted for days. Her father, my gentle David, passed when she was 10. After that, the world became a more frightening place to her. Though she'd never admit it, her wildness took on a new, sharper edge. It became a suit of armor. If she was moving fast enough, feeling hard enough, maybe she could outrun the grief. As a teenager, she was magnetized by broken things. The wilted plant at the grocery store she'd insist on rescuing. The stray cat with the torn ear. The friend everyone else had abandoned. She had a savior's heart, but it was a heart that often confused drama for depth, intensity for authenticity. She believed, with every fiber of her being, that love, the messy, all-consuming, passionate kind, could redeem anything. It was her religion. And like any zealot, she was vulnerable to false prophets. I watched this beautiful, stubborn, luminous girl move through the world, and my pride was always intertwined with a deep, humming anxiety. How do you protect a wildfire from the wind? Ilara met Leo during her final year of art school. He was 32 to her 22, a visionary musician who played in struggling bands and talked big about production deals that were perpetually just about to happen. He had the aesthetic of carefully curated chaos, leather jacket, practice scruff, eyes that held a story he'd make you feel special for hearing. The first time she brought him for dinner, he performed. He complimented my home with a sweeping gesture that felt like he was assessing its value. He spoke to Ilara about her art not with curiosity, but with direction. Your use of color is brave, but it's unfocused. It needs a narrative. I can help you find it. She beamed, as if he'd handed her a key to a secret room inside herself. To me, he was a catalog of red flags wearing a cool jacket. The love bombing. After knowing her 2 weeks, he was talking about their creative destiny, their soulmate connection. How he'd never felt this scene. The isolation. He'd mock her college friends as amateur hour. He found flaws with her supportive professors. Anyone from her past was framed as an anchor holding her back from her true potential. The undermining. Her plan to apply for gallery residencies after graduation was putting the cart before the horse. He insisted she move in with him first, into his cramped, noisy loft, to immerse in the creative process. I tried the gentle approach first. Over coffee, just us, I said, "Sweetheart, he seems very sure of what's best for you. What do you want?" She sighed, a dramatic, world-weary sound. "Mom, you don't get it. He believes in me. Truly. Not like everyone else who just pats me on the head. He challenges me." When gentle failed, I grew firm. Alara, a man a decade older, with no stable career, who wants you to drop your plans to follow his. That's not challenging you. That's recruiting you. Her eyes flashed. You're just like everyone else. You see his age, his tattoos, and you judge him. You can't stand that I've found someone who sees the real me, because you're scared it's not the me you tried to create. The chasm opened. My concern became proof of my failure to understand her. The final blow-up happened over graduation. She'd been accepted into a prestigious summer mentorship program in New York. It was her dream. Leo called it a corporate art factory scheme. He'd gotten a guaranteed gig for his band on a West Coast tour. A real tour, with a van and everything. He wanted her to come. To document it. To be his muse on the road. She stood in our kitchen, a map of the U.S. spread on the table, her finger tracing the route from here to Seattle to L.A. Her eyes were blazing with the reflected light of his dream. "Alara, this is your future." I pleaded, my voice cracking. "This program is a launch pad. This tour, it's his dream. What happens when it ends? Where will you be?" "With him. That's where I'll be." "Why is that so hard for you to understand? Love is an adventure. It's not a spreadsheet. Adventures run out of gas, darling. And then you're stranded. You just want me safe and small and miserable like you," she shouted, the cruelest thing she'd ever said. It hung in the air between us, a poison cloud. She left that night. She packed a single backpack of clothes and her favorite sketchbooks. She didn't say goodbye. She left a note on her bed. "I'm choosing my life. Try to be happy for me." And then silence. For months it was just nothing. No calls. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her social media, once a vibrant stream of her art and thoughts, went dark, then reappeared with a few cryptic posts, blurry photos of highway lights, a stage from behind, a hand, his, holding a beer. No face. No voice. She had vanished into the shadow of his life. I was sick with worry. I called hospitals. I contacted old friends. I drove by Leo's old loft. The landlord said they'd skipped out on the last month's rent. I felt utterly, terrifyingly powerless. My wild-hearted girl was out there somewhere in the vast, indifferent country, and I couldn't reach her. It was a Tuesday. A cold, relentless autumn rain had been falling for hours. The kind of night that makes you grateful for a roof and a lock on the door. The knock was so soft I almost didn't hear it over the drumming on the roof. When I opened the door, the figure on my porch seemed like a trick of the light. It was Alara. But it wasn't my Alara. This was a pared-down version, a charcoal sketch where the vibrant painting had been. She was drenched, shivering violently. Her hair, once a cascade of fiery curls, hung lank and dark. Her clothes were too big, hanging on a frame that had lost too much weight. In her hand was a torn, damp duffel bag, the strap fraying. Her eyes met mine. All the defiance, the fire, the certainty gone. Replaced by a hollow, exhausted shame. In them, I saw the miles of bad road, the broken promises, the lonely nights in strange towns, the slow, chilling realization that she was not a muse, but a utility. She didn't speak. A sob tore from her throat, a raw, animal sound of pure defeat. Her bag dropped with a wet thud. And then she collapsed forward, not in a faint, but in a total surrender, falling into my arms just as she had when she was 5 and had scraped her knee on the pavement. I caught her. I held her up as her body racked with silent, shuddering cries. I smelled rain, and cheap gasoline, and a profound, aching sadness. I pulled her inside, kicking the door shut behind us, closing out the cold world that had used her up and spat her back out. I led her to the couch, wrapped her in the blanket from my chair, and brought her tea. She held the mug with both hands, unable to stop the trembling. The story came out in fragments, between hiccuping breaths. The tour was a disaster. Broken down van, no pay, fighting with the other band members. Leo's vision was just an excuse for chronic irresponsibility. Her savings, meant for art supplies, gone on food and motel rooms when the gigs fell through. The criticism that had once felt like challenging love became constant degradation. Her art was a hobby. Her feelings were drama. She was holding him back. Then the other women. The texts she wasn't supposed to see. The final, brutal dismissal at a truck stop in Nevada. You're a drain. Go find someone else to burden. He left her there. With $20 and a dead phone. It had taken her a week, hitchhiking and busing, to make it home. What do you say when your worst fears have come true for the person you love most? You say nothing. The "I told you so" was a living creature in the room. But I starved it. I refused to give it voice. Those words were for my ego, not for her healing. Saying them would have been just another form of using her painting. For the first week, she was a ghost. She slept for 14 hours at a stretch. She picked at food. She'd sit for hours, staring at the rain-blurred window, wrapped in that blanket. The vibrant, declarative voice was gone, replaced by a whisper. I didn't push. I didn't ask for the full story. I simply performed the rituals of care. I made her favorite childhood soup. I left new, beautiful art supplies on the coffee table. Not as a demand, but as an offering. I washed her few sad clothes. I sat with her in silence, the quiet companionship a promise. You are not alone in this. The first breakthrough was small. I came into the living room to find her staring at the blank, high-quality paper I'd left. She picked up a charcoal stick, held it for a long moment, then made a single, furious, sweeping mark across the page. Then another. And another. It wasn't a picture. It was a storm. She drew until her hand was black, and the paper was a battlefield of dark and light. When she was done, she looked at it, then at her blackened hands, and she began to cry again. But this time, it was a release, not a collapse. She had found her voice again. It was a cry of rage and grief, but it was hers. If you are listening to this, and you are the parent watching your child run toward a cliff with a smile, my heart is with you. It is an agony of helpless love. You can warn them. You must warn them. But you cannot stand in the path of their destiny, even if that destiny contains a profound lesson in pain. Sometimes, love means stepping aside and letting them fall, while making utterly sure they know the way back home. Your door must be a fixed point in their spinning universe, even when they claim they don't need it. And if you are the one who ran, who is listening from the other side of a broken dream, come home. Maybe not to your childhood home, but to yourself. The people who truly love you are not waiting to say, I told you so. They are waiting to say, I'm here. Let's build from here. The most powerful healing begins not with forgiveness from others, but with the raw, courageous admission you whisper to yourself in the dark. I was wrong. I am hurt. And I am still here. My daughter ran away with a man I warned her about. She returned with a broken heart. But in the mending, that heart became her own. Stronger, clearer, and finally truly brave. Sometimes you have to get lost in someone else's terrible story to finally become the author of your own. A true home isn't just a place you leave. It's the truth you can always return to. If you want to hear more story like this, please like the video and subscribe the channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified.